Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel, The Primordial Law. Volume 7, The Struggle for Immortal Realm. Chapter 116, 791, Xiao Yu's Death. 116th of Volume 7. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. Shui Qianshu, Deputy Sentinel Lord of the Great Void Taishu Camp, relaxed his tightly furrowed brow, the oppressive weight in his heart lifting. If the Watchtower Commander and the Holy Emperor hadn't personally appointed him, he would have refused to lead this year's Immortal Ascension Competition Enforcement Group, preferring to fight on the Holy Hall Life Realm battlefield. This year's enforcement group was essentially sparring with the Demon Monarch while simultaneously facing pressure from formidable figures like the Mist Celestial and Yu Yaozi. On the battlefield, his only concern would be how to wield his spear and slay enemies. But internally, he was bound by rules, forced to compromise with the powerful Demon Kingdom and Lingxiao Palace, and obligated to provide a satisfactory explanation to the human race cultivators. In the end, he would likely offend all sides, lose his reputation, and be universally condemned. Fortunately, Li Wei and the Void Ruins Holy Maiden had come to his aid. Xiao Shui, what would you have done if those two hadn't intervened? Qi Lanshuang asked. Shui Qianshu pondered for a moment. A dilemma. If the enforcement group hadn't acted, allowing the dead spirits to slaughter freely on the Immortal Ascension competition battlefield, my ruined reputation would be a minor concern compared to the destruction of the competition's very purpose. But if I had ordered the enforcement group to capture these dead spirit experts, the Demon Monarch could have seized the opportunity to cause chaos. He's desperate and capable of anything, and I would ultimately bear the blame for all the disastrous consequences. This is why the Holy Emperor appointed you as the leader of the enforcement group, because you have more patience than anyone else. Qi Lanshuang wasn't a formal member of the enforcement group, her role was to oversee the Wolf Sovereign Wilderness and manage its complex situation. Shui Qianshu found Heavenly Emperor Qi's assessment more insulting than any curse. He gazed at the distant bright rosy clouds. Those mysterious symbols. Are they primordial Tao of time seals formed from the laws? Both the 10,800-year minor cycle tribulation and the 129,600-year great primordial tribulation required the condensation of primordial time Tao seals for defense. This was a realm only heavenly emperors could begin to comprehend. Throughout history, only a handful of heavenly emperors had lived to the rare age of 10,800, breaking through to the Xuanhuan realm by surviving the minor cycle tribulation. They appear to be primordial time Tao seals. But even I cannot fully decipher the primordial time Tao seals left by the Void Ruins Empress. Qi Lanshuang glanced in another direction, her gaze piercing through the void. The Blood Fiend has appeared 800 miles away. He's trying to track those two youngsters. We must drive him back. The Bloodfiend Patriarch was one of the 9 great demon lords of the Demon Kingdom. Shui Qianshu's figure vanished from beside Qi Lanshuang. Lu Tianwen approached Qi Lanshuang from behind and bowed respectfully. May I ask the Heavenly Emperor, should we expel the 8th and 7th generation immortal practitioners who are pursuing Xiao Yu and the Void Ruins Holy Maiden? Currently, only Qi Lanshuang and Shui Qianshu were certain that Xiao Yu was Li Wei. The others, including Lu Tianwen and Ji Yu Junxiang, merely harbored suspicions. Suspicion and certainty were worlds apart. It was like how everyone suspected the Demon Monarch's lifespan was dwindling and his strength waning, yet no one dared act rashly. But if they could confirm the Demon Monarch's life force had withered and his combat prowess had fallen below the level of a martial mystic Tao Heavenly Emperor, countless would rush to strike. Xiao Yu's presence could alleviate much of the Demon Kingdom's burden, allowing Li Wei and Nangong to divert their attention elsewhere. It would also sow doubt in Kuyu's mind, who believed the Life Spring Jade Tome was in Nangong's possession. The muddier the waters, the better Li Wei could maneuver. Qi Lanshuang pondered for a moment. In theory, the Holy Dynasty and the 3 clan alliances 8th and 7th generation immortal practitioners should handle this themselves. It's part of the Immortal Ascension competition. But tonight is different. If another incident like Nangong Ning's tragedy occurs, our enforcement group will face an unbearable headache. Understood. The Demon Kingdom has crossed the line, and our enforcement group must respond. I will intercept them immediately, Lu Tianwen replied, discerning the Heavenly Emperor's unspoken meaning. He bowed again and departed to carry out his orders. After Li Wei killed the Silverfrost Lady underground, he and Nangong escaped using earth burrowing techniques. The swarm of insects summoned by Zuaoqiu Qingting erased all traces of their passage. 2 days later, Xiao Yu's corpse was discovered in Han Province. The Jade Tome and Cosmic Pouch on his person had been completely looted, and the Void Ruins Holy Maiden's whereabouts remained unknown. The entire Wolf Sovereign Wilderness was thrown into turmoil. The various life realms erupted in uproar. Rumors spread like wildfire that a faction within the Demon Kingdom had secretly seized the Life Spring Jade Tome. Cultivators across the land believed it entirely plausible that the Demon Kingdom, unable to defeat Xiao Yu through their ninth-generation immortals, would resort to such extreme measures, deploying assassins and transcendents to carry out this desperate act. There's a conspiracy here. Why didn't they destroy the body and cover their tracks after taking the Jade Tome? Haven't you heard the rumors? The Dragon Sect might be behind Xiao Yu's assassination and the theft of the Life Spring Jade Tome. They gathered a large number of experts in the Luzhou and Han province border regions that night, secretly collaborating with the Demon Kingdom. The Dragon Sect needs the Demon Kingdom to believe they possess the Jade Tome to drive up the price and secure a lucrative deal. Unfortunately, the body was accidentally exposed during transport to Xiaoyao capital, and now the Dragon Sect is in deep trouble. The Dragon Sect has such audacity. Otherwise, why would they send so many experts to the Immortal Ascension competition battlefield at night? To watch the show. Without the Demon Kingdom's support, how could they possibly maintain a foothold in the Wolf Sovereign Wilderness? Now it all depends on whether Dragon Sect sells the Life Spring Jade Tome and the Void Ruins Holy Maiden to the Demon Monarch, the Crown Prince, or the Chong clan. The nine-headed demonic dragon will go to the highest bidder. The next day, more news spread like wildfire. A transcendent from the Chong clan has visited Dragon Sect. The West Sea King of Lingxiao Palace traveled to Shenzhou and shattered the prefecture city gates in a display of rage. Crown Prince Qi summoned Dragon Sect's ancestor, Long Huishan. In just 2 days, Dragon Sect, which had no involvement in the matter, was thrust into the eye of the storm. A cultivator with a reputation in the Wolf Sovereign Wilderness claimed to have witnessed Dragon Gate's killings and the abduction of the Void Ruins Holy Maiden. Shortly after, this eyewitness met an untimely end, silenced permanently. He was a victim of the Shenzhou War, his family destroyed by Dragon Sect's actions. With no hope of personal revenge, he seized this opportunity, sacrificing his life to drag Dragon Sect down to hell. Often, all it takes is a spark to ignite a blaze, and countless others will fan the flames and add fuel to the fire. Li Wei didn't believe this deception would succeed entirely, but he used it to create chaos, minimizing the dangers he would face. At an inn 3 miles from the Mu clan's settlement, Nangong's injuries had healed, but her spirits remained low. Her gaze grew increasingly profound and distant, and she spoke rarely. Although news of the battle 3 days ago had spread, revealing the Holy Dynasty and the 3-clan alliance's ultimate victory, to her, the fall of their stronghold and the deaths of several immortal ascension beings were no different from a crushing defeat. If not for the Holy Commander's intervention, her defeat would have been even more catastrophic. Li Wei divided the Jade Tomes into 2 stacks. The Holy Dynasty's territorial Jade Tomes totaled 15, while the Demon Kingdom's numbered 6. The territories claimed on the Demon Kingdom's 6 tomes weren't all within the Wolf Sovereign Wilderness. One tome claimed territory in the 14 prefectures and 100 cities, while another claimed territory in the Sagur Mountains. The Holy Dynasty's territorial Jade Tomes, on the other hand, included the Wind Pot Secret Realm, 7 Lakes Prefecture, and other regions. Clearly, both the Demon Kingdom and the Holy Dynasty had withdrawn many immortal ascension beings from other contested areas to prepare for this decisive battle. As for the 3-clan alliance's Jade Tomes, they were utterly useless. Li Wei handed them all over to Nangong. In addition, there were 2 special Jade Tomes. One was inscribed with 100 miles of mineral veins, while the other read 10,000 jin of ancient immortal dragon remains. Li Wei had long heard of the Immortal Ascension competition's disputes over mineral veins and the division of ancient immortal giant beast remains. Now, he was finally witnessing it firsthand. Do these 10,000 jin of ancient immortal dragon remains include immortal bone? Either way, they must be priceless. Li Wei had seized this particular Jade Tome from Qi Jianru, representing the dispute between Calamity Crossing Temple and Rice Palace over the division of ancient immortal dragon remains. During the excavation of the ancient immortal dragon remains of the East Sea, minor disputes arose over the division of spoils, which were ultimately resolved through the Immortal Ascension competition. Li Wei was barred from participating in the competition for these resources. The Jade Tome in his possession was utterly useless to him. I'll sell it to Zhang Ning, Li Wei thought, tucking the Jade Tome away. Let's see what price she's willing to offer. He planned to visit Twilight Prefecture City during the Jade Tome Trade Conference. The 3-year competition paused for 15 days each year, from the 1st to the 15th of the first lunar month, during which hostilities ceased. During this period, the enforcement group organized the Jade Tome Trade Conference. This year's conference would be held in Twilight Manor City, the largest settlement in the Wolf Sovereign Wilderness. Shinar will likely attend the trade conference, Li Wei mused. Each territorial jade scroll is worth a considerable sum. Li Wei had learned from Taishi Qingxi that Shinar cultivated the stone dragon scriptures. His mastery of imperial techniques closely resembled the Shi King's mountain-shifting earth-piercing technique. The Lingxiao Palace had investigated Shinar and concluded he was likely the Shi King's 7th son. His surname should be Yan, not Shi. The Wolf Sovereign Wilderness would inevitably be divided between the Holy Dynasty and the Demon Kingdom during the Immortal Ascension competition. The Shi King needed to secure his future in advance. Taishi Qingshi theorized that Shinar was the Shi King's vanguard, stationed in the Lingxiao realm. The Lingxiao realm was chosen because the Demon Kingdom's experts dared not set foot there. Shuzhou was selected for its proximity to the great wilderness demon plains. Before being cursed by the Lingxiao master with the Six Thoughts Divine Mind curse, Shinar had lived a proper life in Shuzhou, his gang's activities confined to legitimate businesses. Experts who cultivated the stone dragon scriptures had emerged in several remote life realms, suggesting the Shi King had prepared multiple escape routes to evade pursuit by both the Demon Kingdom and the Holy Dynasty. Over the years, the Shi King's bandit army had played both sides, reaping considerable benefits while earning the deep resentment of both factions. His insatiable greed had even led him to plunder merchant caravans from both the Demon Kingdom and the Holy Dynasty. If Shinar truly was the Shi King's seventh son, then the Iron Masked Man must be him. With Nangong mobilizing her light spring's transcendent spiritual power to activate the four immortal formation fragments of the Great Wind, Fire, Thunder, and Lightning formation, and the Grand Palace Master's trump card, it might not be impossible to personally confront the Shi King. Li Wei turned to the graceful, ethereal figure standing by the window. Nangong, I need to return to the Mu clan first to retrieve Xuanhuan Hongting. Shall we go to Twilight Manor City together? Though there are risks, the potential rewards are unimaginable. I'll follow the Holy Commander's arrangements, Nangong Baikai murmured, her gaze fixed on the scenery outside the window. Li Wei, sensing something amiss, couldn't shake off his concern. Are you worried about the immortal ascension beings from the Holy Hall's life realm? Don't worry, Old Mo and Lu Yi can handle them. Besides, we're currently in a ceasefire. We might even run into them on our way to Twilight Manor City. Don't worry about me. I'm not that fragile. It's just something has entered my sea of consciousness, and I need time to process it, Nangong Baikai said, turning to face the door. You should clarify our friendship with Xuanhuan Hongting beforehand to avoid any misunderstandings. Don't worry, that's impossible. Hongting has been wanting to meet you for ages. You'll definitely become great friends. Seeing her crack a joke, Li Wei felt relieved. He smiled and left, heading toward the Mu clan. Ku Yao likely wouldn't return. Given the current situation, she had no time to spare for Fang Yuding, her newly acquired subordinate. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel. The Primordial Law. Volume 7. The Struggle for Immortal Realm. Chapter 117, 792, Hongting's disappearance heart-burning with anxiety. 117th of Volume 7. Translator. Shadow Knight AK. Editor. Shadow Knight AK. The ninth generation immortals of the Demon Kingdom had already lost their momentum. Jiyu Junxiang and Ku Yao would forever remain in Li Wei's shadow, unable to achieve anything significant. Li Wei planned to travel to Twilight Manor, Mufu City, exchange the Jade Tome and spiritual artifacts for cultivation resources, seize the Heavenly Star, and then find a secluded place to enter the Blood Mud space for 2 years of secluded cultivation. He would emerge only after the Immortal Ascension competition concluded. The immediate problem was that his and Nangong Baikai's combined strength still seemed insufficient to confront Shinar. Who could he enlist as an ally? A treasure like the Heavenly Star, capable of granting instant ascension, would severely test human nature. Who could resist such temptation? Lost in thought, Li Wei entered the gates of the Mu clan tribe. Chief Mu Dongyang rushed forward, his eyes filled with reverence. He bowed respectfully. Dongyang's eyes failed to recognize the true god. So you are the great immortal Fang Yuding. Senior, I apologize for the inconvenience you experienced during your stay here. Mu Dongyang's cultivation was only at the second realm of the immortal realm, making him a junior before a great immortal realm martial mystic cultivator. Li Wei returned the bow with a clasped fist salute, showing no arrogance. Did Miss Ku tell you? Mu Dongyang nodded slightly and produced a letter, presenting it with both hands. This is a letter from Miss Ku for you. Li Wei accepted the letter and opened it to read. Ku Yao explained that she would be extremely busy during the Immortal Ascension competition. After the Xuanhuan Lantern Festival, she would depart for the Sagur Mountains. She instructed Fang Yuding to meet her at Twilight Manor, Mufu City if he wished to join her on her journey to the Sagur Mountains. If not, he could present the letter at the Ku Prime Minister's residence in Shaoyao capital, where he would be received. Even amidst this chaos, she still thought of Fang Yuding. Great beauty Ku truly has a kind heart. Li Wei mused inwardly, folding the letter and tucking it into his sleeve. Mu Ying, enveloped in spiritual light, rushed back from outside the tribe's gates. Upon entering, she spotted Mu Dongyang and Li Ting, and urgently exclaimed, "Something's happened to Li Ting. Father, this is bad. Fang Yu and Xiao Zhu have disappeared." For the past 3 days, Xuanhuan Hongting had been juggling the roles of both Li Ting and Fang Yu, undoubtedly exhausting herself. What do you mean, disappeared? Mu Dongyang frowned, glancing at the nearby Fang Yuding. That Fang Yu is likely just an alias, he thought. Mu Ying explained, I've been searching all day. We were together last night. I checked their residence, it's completely empty. They have no relatives or connections in Formation Immortal City. Where could they have gone? Li Wei, confident in Zhuoqiu Hongting's cultivation prowess, suggested, could they have entered the city? I asked Mu Lu at the city gates, Mu Ying replied. There's no record of them entering. Something must have happened. Even if they left without telling me, someone would have seen them leaving the tribe. But no one saw them go. Li Wei finally took the matter seriously, immediately closing his eyes to sense the locations of 5th Phoenix and 6th Phoenix. After a long moment, he opened his eyes, his pupils gleaming with sharp light. Chief, summon everyone in the tribe immediately and ask if anyone has seen them. Also, mobilize all Mu clan personnel in formation state to search for clues. A generous reward will be given to anyone who provides useful information. Li Wei couldn't sense 5th Phoenix and 6th Phoenix, and his heart grew uneasy. There were only 3 possible explanations for this. First, they were being blocked by a formation. Second, they were too far away. Third, 5th Phoenix and 6th Phoenix were dead. He could only hope that Zhuoqiu Hongting had entered the provincial city, and his senses were being blocked by the city's layered formations. Fang Yuding's cultivation level was already sufficient to enlist the Mu clan's help in the search. Moreover, Fang Yuding had Ku Yao backing him. Mu Dongyang dared not delay and immediately set to work. Clang! 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 The bell atop the tribe's formation tower was rung. All members of the Mu clan tribe gathered in the central plaza. The formations in every underground cultivation chamber were activated, and Mu Liancheng led a team to search each one. I was guarding the tribe's main gate since dawn, but I didn't see Miss Fang or Miss Zhu leave. I saw them last night. They went to Miss Zhu's camp together. Li Wei stood solemnly at the edge of the central plaza, listening as guards interrogated Mu clan members one by one. Given Zhuoqiu Hongting's cultivation level, combined with the life-saving trump card given to her by Zhuang Xian and the primordial lamp, few in Formation Immortal City or even the entire formation state could make her vanish without a trace. Night had fallen completely. Mu Ying rushed back from the city and approached Li Wei, shaking her head dejectedly. We've deployed every available member of the Mu clan and searched the entire city. Li Ting. Something must have happened to her. Do you think the Shi King bandit raiders might be involved? Could they have captured Fang Yu to offer her to Empress Zhu? Li Wei shook his head gently, dismissing the idea that the Shi King bandit raiders would target Zhuoqiu Hongting in her disguised form. Suddenly, his expression froze as a memory surfaced, the strange sensation he'd felt aboard the Dragonbone sandship when passing through Sea Prefecture on their way to the Wolf Solitary Wilderness. He had clearly sensed a pair of eyes watching him, yet he couldn't find anyone. Since nothing unusual had occurred afterward, he had dismissed it as a hallucination. In the distance, Mu Liancheng's frantic shout echoed, Father! Something terrible has happened. Swish! Swish! Li Wei, Mu Dongyang, Mu Ying, and the others immediately activated their movement techniques and rushed toward the source of the commotion, arriving at a sprawling courtyard within the Mu clan tribe that covered several acres. The courtyard was protected by both a qi gathering formation and a defensive formation, and it served as the residence of Xuanhuan, a giant of the immortal realm. Xuanhuan was dead. His corpse sat upright in a chair in the courtyard, appearing as if he were merely asleep. There were no visible wounds on his body. After a thorough examination, Mu Dongyang, both shocked and horrified, instructed Mu Liancheng, enter the city immediately and report this to the ancestor. Father, what happened? Mu Ying asked, her voice trembling with fear. Even a giant of the immortal realm had met such a strange end. Forcing himself to remain calm, Mu Dongyang turned to Li Wei. Xuanhuan died last night. His soul spirit was likely extracted. It's terrifying, I sensed nothing last night. What kind of monster could bypass the Mu clan tribe's formations as if they were mere decorations? Li Wei re-examined the corpse. He wondered how even with his cultivation level, he could have breached the formations, killed Xuanhuan, and remained undetected by Mu Dongyang. Mu Ying, when we returned from the Wing dynasty to Formation Immortal City with the merchant caravan, was Xuanhuan the leader? Li Wei asked. Mu Ying nodded numbly, tears welling in her eyes. Xiao Zhu was brought back by Boss Xia. What did you say? Li Wei pressed. Didn't Fang Yu tell you? Mu Ying replied. Xiao Zhu was picked up by Boss Xia. Is there any other information about Xiao Zhu? No. She won't say anything, even if you ask her. She's Boss Xia's person, so no one dares to investigate her, Mu Ying said, sensing the terrifying intensity in Li Ting's gaze. Mu Dongyang added, Xuanhuan is an old hand in the underworld, with countless experiences judging people. He wouldn't make a mistake. In Li Wei's mind, Xiao Zhu's slender figure and focused eyes immediately surfaced. Glancing at Xuanhuan's corpse in the courtyard, a flood of suspicions flooded his mind. It would be stranger if Zhuoqiu Hongting's disappearance wasn't connected to this woman named Xiao Zhu. Otherwise, what could explain such a coincidence? Li Wei asked, could the Shu King bandit raiders we encountered earlier have been searching for her? How long has Xiao Zhu been aboard the Dragonbone sandship? Mu Ying shook her head again. Only Boss Sha knows. I only learned she'd been with the merchant caravan the whole time after returning to the Mu clan tribe. Li Ting, are you suggesting the Shi King bandit raiders found Xiao Zhu and took Fang Yu too? But Xiao Zhu isn't even particularly beautiful. Why would the Shi King bandit raiders go to such lengths? The Shi King bandit raiders. Perhaps. Li Wei instructed Mu Dongyang to continue searching for Fang Yu in Formation Immortal City and investigate Xiao Zhu's identity. Late at night, Li Wei steered a fallen spirit beast carriage, soaring through the air at top speed toward Twilight Manor, Mufu City. He no longer cared about concealing his identity. Saving lives was like putting out a fire. Li Wei had a premonition that the woman named Xiao Zhu, like himself and Zuoqiu Hongting, was likely hiding her true identity. Zuoqiu Hongting's disappearance must be connected to her, and by extension, to the Shi King bandit raiders. With his current cultivation level, he couldn't handle this alone. He needed to seek help from the King of the Western Sea and the enforcement group. Nangong Baikai sat inside the carriage, watching Li Wei's silent, tense back. Zuoqiu Hongting is Zhuang Xian's disciple and the future true disciple of Calamity Crossing Temple. Who would dare harm her? Don't worry too much. Perhaps she encountered an emergency and temporarily left formation state. She's no weak woman, she's a great holy spiritual master, capable of venturing into any dangerous place in the world. Nangong Baikai's words only deepened Li Wei's anxiety, immediately reminding him of Guo Ju's death right before his eyes. Everyone knows Hongting carries a fragmented supreme spiritual artifact, he said. If it's exposed, she'll be in grave danger. It's my fault. I shouldn't have brought her to the wolf solitary wilderness, let alone involved her in the immortal ascension competition. I was too arrogant. If anything happens to Hongting, I'll never forgive myself. Nangong Baikai could sense Li Wei's deep affection for Zuoqiu Hongting. Don't let your concern cloud your judgment, and don't shoulder all the responsibility yourself. Once your mind is in chaos, you'll make mistakes. You rest in the carriage while I drive. I'll find the enforcement group. The dead spirit carriage soared 100 jong above the ground, its soul beast an azure condor with wings spanning 80 meters churning the air with the formation beneath the carriage, creating a thunderous roar. I know my limits. Stay inside the carriage. Li Wei stubbornly shook his head. The second day of the Lunar New Year dawned. Before sunrise, the gates of Twilight Manor, Mufu City were already swarming with people. Cultivators, merchant caravans, carriages, and peddlers from all corners of the world formed a long queue, slowly filing into the city. Boom. Li Wei, piloting the fallen spirit beast carriage, crashed through Twilight Manor, Mufu City's city protecting formation, soaring over the city gates. The carriage landed on a 30-jong wide main street within the city, and the azure condor, which had been pulling it, rapidly shrank to a more manageable size. As he drove, Li Wei used the eightfold profound robe transformation technique to convert his qi into spiritual qi, releasing it across the city to sense the locations of Tai Shi Qingxi, Princess Yun Chong, the King of the Western Sea, the enforcement group, and others. Li Wei's brazen actions alerted the city guard of Twilight Manor, Mufu City. Immediately, a squadron of crimson-armored soldiers mounted on flying beasts soared into the sky, pursuing the fallen spirit beast carriage above the city. Leading the charge was a burly, imposing man, a great immortal cultivator in the fourth realm of the immortal realm. He glared down and roared, "Who dares breach the city? Halt immediately and submit to inspection. Get out of my way." Li Wei snarled, his voice booming like thunder in the great immortal cultivator's ears. The great immortal cultivator's expression shifted abruptly. He halted immediately, realizing the carriage driver's cultivation far surpassed his own. Such arrogance likely stemmed from a powerful figure among the 8th generation or 7th generation immortals, someone with a celestial backing he couldn't afford to provoke. Whoosh! Li Wei whipped the carriage forward, charging into the temporary encampment of the 3 clan alliance's immortal cultivators. Tai Shi Qingxi, already alerted, rushed to the encampment's front courtyard. When he saw Fang Yuting charging in with that icy gaze, he immediately sensed that something grave had occurred. Li Wei leapt down from the carriage and fixed his gaze on Tai Shi Qingxi. I want to see the King of the Western Sea immediately. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel. The Primordial Law. Volume 7. The Struggle for Immortal Realm. Chapter 118, 793, Li Wei's Determination. 118th of Volume 7. Translator. Shadow Knight AK. Editor. Shadow Knight AK. Song Yangxian, the King of the Western Sea, commanded the Western Sea Slave, the Lingxiao Life Realm's foremost elite army. He was a figure even the 2nd and 3rd Palace Masters treated with caution. In the Holy Hall Life Realm, within the netherworld of the 100 Records region where Cave Void Ghost City stood, dozens of army of the dead legions had converged, signaling an impending calamity. With the situation growing dire, Lu Tianqian had urgently returned to Cave Void Camp to oversee intelligence operations. Thus, the responsibility of guarding the immortals of the three-clan alliance in the Wolf Solitary Wilderness fell to Song Yangxian. It's worth noting that all the immortals of the old third generation had already entered the Nether Realm of the Dead. Their 3-year competition was a battlefield where they fought for their very lives. Among all the immortal ascension competitions, the younger generation was the safest. Not only were they protected by the enforcement group and various regulations, but they also retained the right to concede and withdraw at any time. In contrast, the middle third generation and old third generation lacked such safeguards, facing even more brutal struggles for the Tao and their very existence. Without reaching the Nirvana realm, they would forever struggle in the sea of suffering. Song Yangxian wore golden armor adorned with phoenix and wind motifs, known as the Nirvana armor. This armor had shielded him from 6 life and death calamities, making it a companion closer than any lover. Song Yangxian appeared to be around 40 years old, with a dignified, ancient face, a high-bridged nose, and a tall, slender frame. His temples were lightly frosted with gray, and he lacked the rough, martial air of a warrior, resembling instead a Confucian general, as warm and refined as jade. In the elegantly furnished room, the morning sun streamed through the window, bathing half of Song Yangxian's figure in light while the other half illuminated a calligraphy painting on the wall. Where the sunlight struck, the golden radiance of his Nirvana armor blazed with blinding intensity, as if the armor itself were melting into the light. After listening to Li Weiyi's account, Song Yangxian's eyes flashed with shrewd, calm intelligence. If neither you nor Xuanhuan could discern anything amiss, the woman named Xiao Zhu must possess at least 7th immortal realm cultivation, or perhaps even be a transcendent being. Or perhaps, her cultivation might be low, but she holds a special status. In Formation Immortal City, if even the Mu clan can't uncover any leads, this matter must be entrusted to the enforcement group. In the Wolf Solitary Wilderness, only the enforcement group can coordinate the various factions and mobilize sufficient manpower for a thorough investigation. Given Xuanhuan's status, Shui Qianshe will undoubtedly take this seriously. I will personally travel to Formation Immortal City to consult with City Lord Taoist Sansi. As the Holy Spiritual King Psychic Master, he might possess some insight into this matter. The 8 Holy Dynasty immortal cultivators, including Guo Ju, had met a tragic end, and the enforcement group had yet to identify the culprit. Li Weiyi refused to entrust the search entirely to them. What difference would that make from sitting and waiting to die? Li Weiyi said, this matter is undoubtedly connected to the Shi King bandit raiders. Only by employing decisive measures can we find the person quickly. Decisive measures. The king of the Western Sea looked at him with suspicion. Li Weiyi explained, we must strike at the Shi King bandit raiders' stronghold and use overwhelming force to intimidate the Shi King. Standing nearby, Taishi Qingxi appeared to be the same age as the king of the Western Sea, but in reality, their ages were worlds apart. Sensing Li Weiyi's heightened emotions, he quickly interjected, this matter is still uncertain. It may not be the Shi King bandit raiders' doing. Backed by the insect clan and operating in the Wolf Solitary Wilderness, no other faction possesses intelligence networks as sharp as the Shi King bandit raiders. Even if they didn't commit the act themselves, they certainly know who did. Do we have any other leads right now? Li Weiyi pressed on, rescuing her is of utmost urgency. I've heard that the Shi King bandit raiders capture many beautiful women each year for Empress Zhu to devour. Xuanhuan is likely in grave danger. The fastest way to save her is to storm their stronghold. Taishi Qingxi observed the king of the Western Sea's expression. The enforcement group won't launch an attack on the Shi King bandit raiders based solely on your speculation. Besides, the underground terrain is complex and fraught with danger. Even the Demon Kingdom and the Holy Dynasty have been unable to subdue the Shi King bandit raiders, forced to let them raid passing merchants like the wind. Once they retreat underground, they vanish without a trace, impossible to find. Li Weiyi shook his head. It's not that the Demon Kingdom and the Holy Dynasty can't subdue them, it's that they're unwilling to pay the necessary price. Both nations are vying for dominance here, each trying to win over and exploit local forces. This power struggle is what allows the Shi King bandit raiders to survive. The king of the Western Sea's gaze deepened. It's not that simple. The Shi King himself is no threat, I wouldn't even deign to acknowledge him. But he's the adopted son of Lord Yan, and Lord Yan and Empress Zhu are the truly formidable powers. Shui Qianshe and Heavenly Emperor Qi both fear them deeply and would never dare to venture underground to confront them. Taishi Qingxi added, the underground is the domain of strange insects, and the human clan has long coexisted peacefully with them. If we provoke them, unleashing a catastrophic insect swarm, billions of people in both the Demon Kingdom and the Holy Dynasty would perish. Who would bear the responsibility for such a disaster? Then I asked the king of the Western Sea to summon the Grand Palace Master, Zhuang Xian, and Xuanhuan. Ideally, we should also bring the Mist Heavenly Sovereign, Li Weiyi said. The king of the Western Sea frowned, finding Li Weiyi's approach overly simplistic. Just Xuanhuan. Even with her fragmented supreme spiritual artifact, do you truly believe Xuanhuan Xuanming would risk his life to venture into the wolf solitary wilderness, descend into the forbidden underground sea, and challenge Empress Zhu and Lord Yan? If Xuanhuan Xuanming can't accomplish this, what makes you think Zhuang Xian could? Even with the highest cultivation, one must exercise extreme caution when confronting beings from the underworld. Moreover, you lack any concrete evidence. The king of the Western Sea didn't mention Yu Yaozi or the Mist Heavenly Sovereign, dismissing those suggestions is utterly absurd. Precisely because everyone recognizes the danger, even the Xuanhuan clan and Zhuang Xian might abandon her out of fear if I don't fight for her, who will contend for her life. Li Wei countered. To these ancient powerhouses who had lived for millennia, the disappearance of a girl barely 100 years old seemed insignificant. While they might exert themselves to find and rescue her due to Li Wei and Xuanhuan Hongting's exceptional innate talent, none would risk their own lives for such a venture. Taishi Qingshi pondered for a moment, then said meaningfully, the Grand Palace Master faces an even more dangerous situation. The Holy Hall Life Realm cannot do without her. As for the Mist Heavenly Sovereign, she can only seek us out, who else could find her? Even Empress Zhu and Lord Yan, powerful as they are still not emperor grade. Li Wei retrieved the life-preserving spring jade scroll and tossed it onto the table. This scroll is priceless to the Grand Palace Master and the Demon Monarch. But to me, it's worth less than Xuanhuan Hongting's life. Before the Immortal Ascension competition, the Grand Palace Master and I made a pact. I would fight one battle for her, and she would fight one for me. Now, when I need her most, if she doesn't come, what's the point of me risking everything to protect this scroll? In short, if the Grand Palace Master doesn't come, she'll have to find someone else for the Immortal Ascension competition. The life-preserving Spring Jade Scroll was Li Wei's greatest bargaining chip with Yu Yaozi. Li Wei knew all too well that if he didn't fight, Xuanhuan Hongting might become the next Guo Ju, dead and buried without a trace, maybe today, or tomorrow. Controlling the life-preserving spring meant controlling the entire world. Over 100 living realms, including the demon clan of the Great Wilderness Demon Plains, would flock to Yu Yaozi's banner, seeking to extend their dwindling lifespans. It represented a unique appeal, its value immeasurable. Even the king of the Western Sea, known for his composure, was provoked by Li Wei's words. This king had believed you to be a prodigy. The Grand Palace Master, Third Palace Master, Yun Chong, Qing Shi, all have praised you lavishly. I personally stationed half my forces in the wolf solitary wilderness to protect you. Yet you've proven utterly disappointing, acting rashly and without restraint. Caring for your fiancé's life and safety is a noble quality, but you must also understand the weight of consequences and the necessity of weighing priorities. Threatening the Grand Palace Master will only backfire. She has never yielded to threats. Li Wei replied, some matters can be compromised for the sake of expediency. If Empress Zhu and Lord Yan were emperor-grade rare insects, I would have accepted my fate. But since they are not, I cannot compromise. Why doesn't the king of the Western Sea send word immediately to the Grand Palace Master, Zhuang Xian, and Xuanhuan Xuanming? If they come, I, Li Wei, will remember this favor and forever respect them as elders. If they do not, I will bear no resentment, understanding their calculations. However, should I ever ascend to the level of martial mystic Dao Heavenly Emperor Realm, and they find themselves in danger, I fear I too would weigh my options before acting. Any young martial mystic cultivator in the immortal realm who spoke such words would have been dismissed by the king of the Western Sea as a mere breeze passing his ear, not even worth a scornful laugh. But when Li Wei spoke these words, the king of the Western Sea paused to seriously consider them. Clearly, he believed this junior had a genuine chance of ascending to the level of a martial mystic Dao Heavenly Emperor in the future. Are you serious? The king of the Western Sea asked. Li Wei glanced sharply at the life-preserving spring jade scroll on the table, his eyes piercing. Since entering this room, I haven't uttered a single insincere word. Taishi Qingshi turned to the king of the Western Sea. Xuanhuan Hongting possesses exceptional innate talent, and her damaged supreme spiritual artifact is priceless. The Xuanhuan clan and Calamity Crossing Temple may value her differently. Unfortunately, the abbot is currently occupied at the great ancient land of the Tao of Alchemy and cannot leave. Otherwise, his personal intervention would surely sway Empress Zhu and Lord Yan. It's not that simple. The king of the Western Sea countered. In the southwestern 100 realms of life domain, the army of the dead grows stronger daily. How can the Grand Palace Master abandon her post? Zhuang Xian, as Sentinel Lord of the Cave Void Garrison, is equally indispensable. The king of the Western Sea met Li Wei's gaze. Let's try. I'll dispatch the Mist Shadow Army to immediately relay the message to the Grand Palace Master, the Cave Void Camp, and the Xuanhuan clan. Even at the fastest pace, it will take at least 7 days. 7 days is too long. Li Wei shook his head. The Wolf Solitary Wilderness, Holy Hall Life Realm, and Cave Void Camp are all separated by the Demon Kingdom and the Formation Great Wall, making it impossible to use message talismans. The nearest space teleportation formation is within the Demon Kingdom, 40,000 li from the Wolf's solitary wilderness, and we can't use it. We'll have to detour through the vast sea rice realm and borrow the Ricefolk's space teleportation formation. 7 days is already the fastest possible time to deliver the message, Taishi Qingxi explained. Li Wei produced the Shaoyang Division Holy Commander's token. Second uncle, take this token and find Shui Qianshu of the enforcement group. Ask him to contact Sentinel Lord Zhuang Xianxi of the Cave Void Camp through the Sentinel Spirit Army's communication channels. That should save us a lot of time. Seeing that Li Wei had calmed down, Taishi Qingxi felt relieved. He accepted the token and cautioned, just remember you can't show your face. After the battle 4 days ago, the Demon Kingdom's 9th generation immortals are no match for you anymore. But do you think the Demon Monarch will simply concede defeat? Of course not. He'll only become more desperate, making your situation even more dangerous. Assassination like Nangong Ning are impossible to guard against. Be careful, and I'll go see the enforcement group now. After arranging for the Mist Shadow Army to send messages to the Holy Hall Life Realm, Sentinel Spirit Army, and Zuaoqiu clan, the King of the Western Sea set off for formation state. If it turned out to be a false alarm and they found Zuaoqiu haunting in formation state, that would be the best possible outcome. Otherwise, this would truly escalate into a major crisis. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel. The Primordial Law. Volume 7. The Struggle for Immortal Realm. Chapter 119, 794, The Fifth Son of the Shi King. 119th of Volume 7. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. The King of the Western Sea had never encountered a immortal realm martial mystic cultivator with such immense influence as Li Wei. It was one thing for Li Wei to mobilize him personally, but the Western Sea King believed that even if the Grand Palace Master, Zhuang Xian, and Zuaoqiu Xuanming didn't come themselves, they would certainly react in some way. Having slain the Demon Emperor's holy embryo, defeated the Emperor Zhen's reincarnation, and killed the 3 holy monarchs, this young prodigy's reputation had soared to unprecedented heights among the younger generation. The weight of this heaven's chosen's words and influence was now fully apparent, surpassing even ordinary transcendent beings. Over 20 immortals from the 3-clan alliance, the 3rd generation of the Azure sect, had gathered in Twilight Manor, Mufu City, occupying a 5-courtyard estate as their temporary base. Most had already secured jade tomes and were preparing to trade them. Only a few had come out of curiosity, primarily 9th generation immortals. Li Wei avoided contact with them, sitting by the pond in the King of the Western Sea's private courtyard. His mind had calmed, and he sank into deep contemplation. His impulsive actions had stemmed from concern for Zuaoqiu Hongding's safety. But why had he reacted so strongly? The anxiety, the fear of loss, the self-blame, and the grief were overwhelming. Was it because of the legend of Empress Zhu devouring human flesh? Or perhaps it was the memory of witnessing the tragic deaths of Guozhu and other Holy Dynasty immortal cultivators. He had threatened Yu Yaozi with the life-preserving Spring Jade Scroll only because Empress Zhu and Lord Yan might show him respect if Yu Yaozi personally intervened. Moreover, with the Holy Emperor and martial mystic Dao Heavenly Emperors like Sentinel Commander Zhen stationed in the Holy Hall Life Realm, they didn't truly need her presence there. As for her master, Zhuang Xian, even if he couldn't come in person, a strong public statement or a request for the abbot to speak out would surely deter anyone who had abducted Zuaoqiu Hongting. The Zuaoqiu clan would undoubtedly take action. They needed to assert their stance and pressure the Calamity Crossing Temple. Nangong Baikai, dressed in pristine white robes, approached the figure by the pond with graceful steps. She placed a boundary pouch on the stone table. Blue karmic fire, the headless corpse of the ancient heavenly emperor from the 3 holy monarchs, spiritual artifacts belonging to Demon Kingdom faction immortals like Qi Jianru and Shen Jian, including the blood-floating pagoda demon armor, they're all inside. The immortals captured within the heaven-grade realm pouch have been detained and will be transferred to the enforcement group shortly. Holy Commander, you've done all you can. Surely few in the world would dare to harm the heavenly pride of the Calamity Crossing Temple. Openly, of course not. But if they act with perfect discretion, leaving no trace. Li Wei's eyes narrowed, and he suddenly stood up. That's right. Instead of waiting here, I should be searching for clues. If I can uncover solid evidence, everything will become much easier. Nangong Baikai shifted sideways, blocking his path. The King of the Western Sea ordered me to keep a close watch on you and prevent you from leaving. Don't worry, I've calmed down now. Besides, it's a truce period. With Heavenly Emperor Qi stationed in Twilight Manor, Mufu City, if anything were to happen to me within the city walls, the Grand Palace Master would naturally hold her accountable, Li Wei said. Nangong Baikai shook her head gently. Knowing her concern was genuine, Li Wei didn't want to force the issue. He explained patiently, if we can find Ji Shanghuan, the commander-in-chief of the Shi King bandit raiders, we can learn whether he was pursuing Xiao Zhu that day and why. Only then can we uncover Xiaoju's true identity. Seeing Li Wei regain his wisdom and composure, Nangong Baikai said, the Shi King bandit raiders have lived underground for generations. Their commander-in-chief level figures are all formidable experts of the great immortal realm. If they knew you, the renowned Taoist heir of the Heavenly Emperor, were searching for them, they would never reveal themselves. What about Fang Yuding? Li Wei asked. The Shi King bandit raiders undoubtedly have assets in Twilight Manor City. Li Wei continued. I'll cause a major disturbance under Fang Yuding's identity. They won't be able to resist showing up. If they don't, they can forget about all their holdings in Twilight Manor City. That might work, but we need to inform the enforcement group about your identity and purpose beforehand, Nangong Baikai said, his eyes lighting up. After using the disguise technique, Li Wei quietly left the estate and headed to the Independent Cultivator Hall. Zhao He rushed to greet him, overjoyed, accompanied by 4 old friends from the Southern Desert Life Realm who were also in Immortal Realm. Li Wei, disguised as Fang Yuding, stood proudly by the crimson railing on the 2nd floor, his back to them. Investigate something for me, he said. I need information on all the Shi King bandit raiders' assets in Twilight Manor City. And I need it fast. All their assets. That'll be difficult. The Shi King bandit raiders have too many hidden holdings in Twilight Manor City. I know of at least 7 or 8 myself, an elder from the Southern Desert Life Realm's 3rd Immortal Realm said. He wore full armor and served in the City Lord's manor. Li Wei said, find as many as you can. Which is the largest? Zhao He sneered, naturally, the Yank Rock Citadel Palace. The one in Twilight Manor, Mufu City is the largest, located in the West City Black Market and personally overseen by Yan Shiguan, the 5th son of the Shi King. On the surface, the Yank Rock Citadel Palace operates as a pawnshop, but in reality, it's a hub for laundering stolen goods plundered by the Shi King bandit raiders from across the states. It also serves as a transit point for tribute offerings from various state factions to Lord Yan. That place is a den of corruption, overflowing with wealth, and guarded by countless experts. Because it involves both the Shi King and Lord Yan, and due to the massive annual tax revenue it generates, the City Lord's manor turns a blind eye to its activities. Excellent. Li Wei slammed his hand heavily on the railing. What's Yan Shiguan's cultivation level? He's been at the 6th Immortal Realm for many years, likely at the peak realm. He cultivates the stone dragon technique and the imperial technique, mountain shifting, earth piercing, making him a top-tier expert below the transcendent realm. Sensing Fang Yuding was planning something dangerous, Zhao He quickly warned, Lord Fang, you must not provoke them. Yan Shiguan is ruthless and possesses overwhelming combat power. The Shi King himself is an existence of terrifying power. Li Wei didn't want to involve them in his troubles. There's no need to investigate the Shi King bandit raiders' assets. If you still value our past friendship, go to the various prefectures of the Wolf Solitary Wilderness and help me find 2 women, Fang Yu and Xiaozu. They disappeared from the Mu clan tribe in Formation Immortal City. He then produced a spiritual light scroll he had already created using psychic power and handed it to them. Lord Fang's orders are our utmost priority. We will spare no effort in fulfilling them. Zhao He led the 4 former Immortal Realm martial mystic cultivators of the Southern Desert Royal Court in taking their leave, each returning to their residences to make arrangements. Soon after, the 5 rode out of the city on flying mounts, heading toward the various prefectures. Standing atop the city wall, Li Wei watched them depart, inwardly marveling at the loyalty Fang Yuding had inspired. With just a single command, 5 Immortal Realm martial mystic cultivators had immediately abandoned everything to carry out his request. In his prime, Fang Yuding must have been a martial mystic cultivator of extraordinary charisma. Twilight Manor City, the foremost city among the 36 prefectures of the Wolf Solitary Wilderness, governed 6 prefectures and exerted influence over 15. Its military strength was estimated to be nearly 1 billion units, making it the undisputed leader of the wilderness's large factions. The city boasted a population of 10 million and spanned over 50 miles. Unlike the ethereal beauty and orderly arrangement of Lingxiao City's celestial palaces, Twilight Manor City exuded a unique barbaric energy, a chaotic blend of the wilderness's diverse tribes. Here, one could see martial mystic cultivators from every living realm, clad in diverse attire, exotic beasts roaming the streets, and spirit insects occasionally darting from shops. Entering the West City Black Market, shrouded by the Black Night formation, the sunlight vanished, and the sky abruptly darkened. The city fell into an eerie silence, with lanterns hung only every 30 zhong, transforming it into a city of perpetual night where the strong preyed on the weak. Every figure on the streets was a formidable martial mystic cultivator, and the shadows of demon clan members and dead spirits were also visible. The Yank Rock Citadel Palace, a 5-story, dark cyan stone structure occupying over 30 acres, faced the main street on 3 sides, claiming the heart of the black market. Boom! The white jade palace gates, protected by a defensive formation, shattered under a single palm strike, sending fragments flying inward. A table-sized shard crashed into the reception hall, embedding itself in the wall with a resounding crack. Screams, gasps, and the furious roars of martial mystic cultivators erupted. Thump. Thump. The 4 low-tier Dao Seed Realm guards stationed at the gates let out muffled screams as they were hurled onto the stone slabs outside the reception hall. Li Wei strode into the Yank Rock Citadel Palace, using the wind and rain sword as a staff. With each slow, deliberate tap of the scabbard against the ground, his tall, spear-like figure emerged from the dust of the shattered gates. By tapping the scabbard against the ground, he channeled spiritual qi into the earth, systematically destroying the palace's formation base. He stood tall outside the welcoming hall. Those unaffiliated with the Shi King bandit raiders, and all staff and servants below the Dao Seed Realm, have half an hour to evacuate. Sensing the oppressive intent and dense spiritual qi emanating from Li Wei, the crowd within Yank Rock Citadel Palace surged outward like a tidal wave, fleeing past him on both sides. The sound of wind being torn apart filled the air as martial mystic experts and psychic masters from Yank Rock Citadel Palace rapidly assembled, forming a semi-encirclement to block Li Wei's path. Crossbows were mounted on the upper floors, and spiritual artifacts rose from the rooftops. The assembled experts radiated fierce qi, their eyes sharp and unwavering, undaunted by Li Wei's qi field. The entire West City black market was thrown into chaos, yet no one dared approach. Within 100 zhong, shops swiftly closed their doors and activated defensive formations. Spectators gathered at a distance, aware of the dangers of an immortal realm battle. The crowd parted as Yank Rock Citadel Palace's 3 chief managers, Old Jin, Yan Zheng, and Madame Ying, stepped forward to confront Li Wei. Old Jin, a one-eyed elder, clasped his hands in a respectful bow. "May I ask your name, esteemed guest? Has Yank Rock Citadel Palace offended you in any way?" Recently, many immortals had gathered in Twilight Manor City, each with formidable backing. Offending a heavenly emperor's disciple or a true disciple of the ancient sect could lead to serious trouble. Li Wei cast them a cold glance. "You are not worthy to speak with me. Summon Yan Shiguan. Impudence. Do you even know who backs the Shi King bandit raiders?" Yan Zheng glared, his hand moving to draw his sword. Li Wei slammed the wind and rain sword, sheath and all, into the ground. Crack. The stone tiles shattered. A surge of spiritual qi erupted from the ground, sweeping beneath Yan Zheng's feet. The first immortal realm martial mystic cultivator was hurled dozens of feet, blood gushing from his mouth and nose as he crashed heavily to the ground, unable to rise. "What business brings you to seek this marquis?" Yan Shiguan materialized midair above the reception hall. His short, stocky frame, cold jade-like face, and inhuman, stone-textured skin radiated a bluish-gray luster. His pupils swirled like molten lava as he scrutinized Li Wei below, sensing a strange familiarity. His hovering position was born of caution. In the face of an enemy whose strength remained uncertain, he needed to maintain both offensive and defensive options. Li Wei recognized Yan Shiguan's profound cultivation, confirming his status as a major figure. Adopting a commanding tone, he declared, "Bring Ji Shangguan here, and I'll spare your life." Yan Shiguan's massive frame descended slowly, his eyes narrowing into a contemptuous smile. "I recognize you now, rogue cultivator Fang Yuding. Hey, you're getting a little too presumptuous. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel. The Primordial Law. Volume 7. The Struggle for Immortal Realm. Chapter 120, 795. What exactly did Ji Shangguan do? 120th of Volume 7. Translator. Shadow Knight AK. Editor. Shadow Knight AK. Li Wei had come here to be audacious. Yan Shiguan, I won't repeat myself. Ha ha ha. Yan Shiguan landed on the ground, his booming laughter echoing through the air, clearly mocking Fang Yuding's ignorance and recklessness. After a long moment, his laughter abruptly ceased. His round, bloodshot eyes narrowed into slits, and he didn't even bother asking why Fang Yuding was seeking Ji Shangguan. His demeanor shifted completely to one of condescension. "Judging by your confidence, you've likely broken through to the 6th immortal realm. But even within the 6th immortal realm, there are vast differences. This marquis has been in the 6th immortal realm for 70 years. 70 years without breaking through to the 7th immortal realm. It seems your martial mystic cultivation has reached its peak," Li Wei remarked calmly. This simple comment struck Yan Shiguan with greater force than a physical blow. Yan Shiguan's gaze turned icy as frost. He raised his right arm and made a subtle gesture with his fingers. Immediately, Old Jin and Madame Ying, leading a group of Dao Seed Realm martial mystic cultivators and spirit sense masters, began to retreat slowly. Simultaneously, they activated their spiritual artifacts, deployed formation flags, and erected protective barriers around the Yank Rock Citadel Palace's structures. Yan Shiguan, realizing the visitors harbored ill intentions, ceased further words and began to secretly gather his power. Though shorter than average, Yan Shiguan possessed unusually broad shoulders and a thick back. His legs were like pillars, and when he unleashed his spiritual qi and intent, he exuded the solid, imposing presence of a mountain rising from a plain. Their spiritual chi clashed in the air, twisting and colliding with a dull roar like wind and thunder. Your spiritual chi feels different than before, Yan Shiguan remarked. He had fought Fang Yuding once many years ago, but the memory was too distant to be certain. How else could I have broken through to the sixth immortal realm without cultivating a different technique? Li Wei replied, unwilling to elaborate further. He stepped forward like an arrow loosed from a bow. Sword and scabbard combined, he swung the weapon down like a club. Piercing sword chi and sword intent erupted from the scabbard, cleaving the air in two. In close combat, Yan Shiguan believed his physically honed body gave him the advantage. He confidently raised an arm as thick as a millstone to block the scabbard's strike. Spiritual artifact armor plates materialized on his arm, shimmering with glowing scriptures. His other hand clenched into a fist, rock radiance radiating from his fingers, poised to strike at Li Wei's abdomen. Bang! Yan Shiguan never landed the blow. He was violently thrown backward. The force behind the scabbard's strike was unimaginable, crushing his arm and slamming into his shoulder. Yan Shiguan's legs sank knee-deep into the formation inscriptions reinforced stone slabs. He skidded back 5 steps, leaving deep footprints in his wake, the ground cracking across the entire courtyard. Channeling his spiritual chi to his legs, he managed to stabilize himself. His heart pounded with shock, a single exchange had shattered his protective spiritual chi, leaving his shoulder and arm throbbing with agony. Fortunately, he had armor protecting him. Had Fang Yuding's cultivation truly advanced to such a level? Yan Shiguan regretted underestimating his opponent, but Fang Yuding gave him no time for remorse. The figure moved like a phantom in the wind, flickering forward with the ringing of a sword. Whoosh! Yan Shiguan drew a deep breath. From his ancestral field, over 3 million immortal inscriptions erupted, coalescing with spiritual chi into a Dao technique shield the size of a millstone, resembling a mirror or the moon. With a thunderous crash, the sword sheath shattered the shield with overwhelming force, sending Yan Shiguan staggering backward once more. Overwhelmed by Li Wei's imposing aura, Yan Shiguan couldn't even speak. His face flushed crimson, his lungs felt about to burst, and he retreated frantically. In this critical moment, the 9-peak seal jade pendant on his belt glowed with dense scriptures. He thrust both palms forward, unleashing the 5th layer beginner stage of imperial technique, mountain shifting earth piercing. Instantly, spiritual chi and scriptures coalesced into 5 illusory mountain peaks that rose within the Yank Rock Citadel Palace, enveloping his body. Finally halting his retreat, Yan Shiguan managed to block Li Wei's relentless attack. Brother Fang, there must be some misunderstanding here. Let's talk. Li Wei had no intention of granting him time to stall, seek escape, or await reinforcements. He unleashed the wind and rain sword technique. The wind howled, and the sword struck like a torrential downpour, tearing through the 5 illusory mountain peaks. Yan Shiguan was sent flying like a cannonball, smashing into 2 Dao Seed Realm martial mystic cultivators and turning them into pulpy messes before slamming into the wall. Yan Shiguan's cultivation had reached the peak of the 6th immortal realm, making him slightly stronger than Jiyu Junxiang. However, Jiyu Junxiang cultivated multiple imperial techniques, had mastered the 5th layer of his imperial techniques, and possessed trump cards like the Myriad Inscriptions artifact. Jiyu Junxiang's claim that he could dominate the 6th immortal realm after breaking through to the 5th immortal realm was no idle boast. Some peak 6th immortal realm cultivators might not even be his match. Even Jiyu Junxiang, when facing Li Wei, had to activate the Myriad Inscriptions artifact to its full potential. Yan Shiguan, naturally, was far outmatched. Aou! Yan Shiguan, sent hurtling through the air, flipped mid-flight and landed on his feet, his ferocious instincts awakened. He stood in a horse stance, the stoneheart worm within his chest stirring to life. The skin on his chest hissed as it began to petrify, the transformation spreading rapidly across his body. Even his hair turned to stone, hardening to the strength of iron. Martial mystic path experts among the Shi King bandit raiders forged contracts with the stoneheart worms dwelling beneath the earth, gaining petrified skin that enhanced both their defense and strength. Yan Shiguan channeled the stone dragon inscriptions, his body rapidly expanding to a height of 10 feet. Stone protrusions erupted along his spine, transforming him into a humanoid stone dragon, an exotic beast from the depths of the earth. Li Wei, unwilling to risk complications or unforeseen variables, moved swiftly. With a blur of motion, he flashed to a position 30 feet above Yan Shiguan's head, his sword held horizontally. The Wind and Rain Sword Technique's ultimate technique, Wind Immortal, Rain God. After years of seclusion within the Chun cocoon, Li Wei hadn't mastered the Wind and Rain Sword Technique, but he had at least gained a rudimentary understanding of its principles. A violent gale swept through the entire West City black market, causing the defensive formations above every shop to tremble. Torrential rain poured down, turning the streets into a muddy mess. Boom. Southeast of the Yank Rock Citadel Palace, a massive crater several zhong in diameter appeared, collapsing nearby pavilions and structures. Waves of spiritual qi surged outward like a tidal wave, spilling from the Yank Rock Citadel Palace and forcing onlookers on the streets hundreds of zhang away to stumble backward. Li Wei stood at the crater's edge, the scabbard of his wind and rain sword shattered in the earlier clash, revealing the blade's chillingly sharp edge. Yan Shiguan lay at the bottom of the crater, his body reverted to its normal form. Crimson sword marks covered his body, blood streaming from his 7 orifices. What exactly did Ji Shangguan do? Go find him. Why are you bothering with me? Still able to speak. Li Wei plunged into the pit, his fingers flashing across Yan Shiguan's body to seal his cultivation and the stoneheart worm within his heart. His right hand delved into his boundary pouch. With a clatter, he unfurled 1,000 inscriptions artifact chain and wrapped it around Yan Shiguan. The entire Yank Rock Citadel Palace was now enveloped in Li Wei's spiritual qi. The battle had ended in mere moments, leaving the Dao Seed Realm martial mystic cultivators no time to escape. Sensing the dire situation, Old Jin and Madame Ying each unleashed their own techniques, attempting to breach Li Wei's spiritual qi barrier. Whoosh! The wind and rain sword materialized midair, hovering at the palace gate, its sword intent locking onto the pair. Old Jin and Madame Ying felt their skin prickle as if about to split open. A bone-chilling dread washed over them, forcing them to retract their spiritual qi and spiritual light, their bodies frozen in place. Clang! Clang! Clatter! The sound of footsteps and dragging chains echoed through the palace. Li Wei strode toward the gate, the chain in hand, his gaze sweeping across the assembled martial mystic path experts. These men were all veterans of the Shi King bandit raiders, notorious for their decades of atrocities. Killing them all would not mean killing a single innocent. The crowd watched in horror as Yan Shiguan, once revered like a god, was dragged behind, Fang Yuding, like a prisoner, his hair disheveled. Their legs trembled, their earlier bravado to challenge Li Wei vanished as they knelt en masse. After all, Yan Shiguan was an ancestor-level figure who had lived for over 4 centuries. Li Wei stopped and turned to face Yan Shiguan. How long will it take to find Ji Shangguan? Yan Shiguan's heart leapt with joy. As long as the man didn't kill him now, he vowed to repay this debt tenfold in the future. Maintaining a facade of submission, he replied, 5 days. We'll find him in 5 days, guaranteed. Ying, go. Find that bastard Ji Shangguan. He caused this mess, yet I'm the one who has to take the fall. Li Wei detected the hidden meaning in Yan Shiguan's words, an attempt to send Madame Ying to summon the Shi King bandit raiders' elite forces. But he didn't care. Having already made his move, he had burned his bridges. A mere band of bandits operating on human clan territory. He thought. As the Shaoyang Division Holy Commander who has earned great merit for the human clan, why should I fear them? If all his efforts proved futile, Li Wei was prepared to embark on a one-way journey to the Tanggu Sea or Seoul Sea, leaving Yingzhou entirely. He would return to settle scores only after achieving mastery in his cultivation. 3 days. I'll wait no longer than 3 days. If Ji Shangguan doesn't appear by then, I'll kill 1 person each day and destroy 1 Qi Sea in Yank Rock Citadel Palace daily. I'll distribute all the wealth from Yank Rock Citadel Palace to the West City Black Market. If Ji Shangguan doesn't come, then you can collect Yan Shiguan's corpse. Li Wei's declaration echoed throughout the West City Black Market. A cacophony of cheers and jeers erupted from the crowd. Yan Shiguan's face twisted into a grimace. Hurry. Send a message using the message talisman. If Ji Shangguan doesn't arrive within 3 days, the loss of Yank Rock Citadel Palace's wealth will be his responsibility, the consequences of his own recklessness. Hold on, Li Wei called out to Madame Ying. Leave the boundary pouch. Places like Yank Rock Citadel Palace often stored their treasures and valuables within the boundary pouches of powerful cultivators. From Madame Ying's boundary pouch, Li Wei retrieved a set of 12 formation flags. Enveloping them in spiritual qi, he sent them flying to 12 strategic points around Yank Rock Citadel Palace. A shimmering formation barrier rose, sealing the palace off from the outside world. Can I trust you to control the formation? Li Wei asked, his gaze fixed on Old Jin, whose cultivation had reached the 9th heaven of the Dao Seed Realm. Old Jin glanced at Yan Shiguan, then, overwhelmed by Li Wei's qi field, knelt on one knee. If this old man dares to flee alone, the Marquis will surely spare me no mercy in the future. Good to know. Listen up, all of you. Obey Lord Fang's orders to the letter. Anyone who causes trouble will wish they were dead. Yan Shiguan's life was now in Li Wei's hands, so he naturally wanted to keep him placated. He feared his subordinates might stir up trouble and doom them all. If they could just survive the next 2 or 3 days, powerful figures from the Shi King bandit raiders would arrive to deal with Fang Yuding. Let's go. Let's check out the underground vault, Li Wei said. Yan Shiguan's expression flickered. Perhaps not. The things down there can't be exposed to light. You might not be able to handle them. He didn't dare make a direct threat, but the warning hung heavy in the air. Perfect. Those are exactly the kinds of things I'm looking for. Li Wei had already scouted the underground vault. He grabbed Yan Shiguan, whose face had darkened, and dragged him toward the vault's entrance. Compared to the secrets of the Shi King bandit raiders, his own life was clearly more important. Yan Shiguan activated the formation that opened the gate of Rock Time Pass, leading Li Wei downward. Though called an underground warehouse, it resembled a two-story subterranean palace. The smooth rock walls, when lightly touched, revealed formation inscriptions. The vast space was divided into sections, each categorized by type. There were legitimate pawned items, Xuanhuan coins, and blood crystals. There were also stolen goods, formation materials, spiritual artifacts, fabrics, precious medicine herbs, essence medicine herbs, and more, piled high in their crates like mountains. Anything sent to the Yank Rock Citadel Palace in Twilight Manor City would be no ordinary treasure. Even more valuable were the tribute items offered to Lord Yan by the provincial cities and major powers of the Wolf Solitary Wilderness. Li Wei conducted a cursory inspection. Let's go to the second floor. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel.